Today, we're going to talk about how to create a digital marketing system to achieve your sales goals. In an earlier presentation, Brad Biley pulled the audience and asked, all right, what's your biggest challenge right now? Is it recruiting? Is it lead generation? The overwhelming majority of people said lead generation. It was probably 75-25. And that's a shift over what we've seen over the last year or two because, going back 5 years, because for the last little bit here, it has all been about the candidate. But we're seeing sales leads fall. We're seeing reorders fall. We're seeing it much harder to get in front of the right decision maker or decision makers. So what we're going to talk about today is how to use a digital marketing system to help support your sales efforts. And when I talk about a digital marketing system, at the top, I'm going to really focus on your website. David Stearns and I will be doing a session later to talk about how to create a better website that helps support your sales and recruiting efforts. And we're going to dig into some of the specifics. But right off the bat, we need to make sure that our website is current. When you think about the amount of people that your website will touch, it is way more than any single salesperson. It's way more probably than your combined sales force. Before someone even considers talking to you, picking up the phone, speaking with a recruiter or sales rep, they're going to do their due diligence and they're going to look at your website. We need to make sure it's current, it's up to date, and it's easy for people. Is it easy for them to take the action you want them to take? If it's not, you're losing people out of your sales funnel. So again, we need to make sure that our website is optimized for conversions. Then we can use other digital marketing platforms and tools to get in front of the right audience. In many cases, when we think about digital marketing, our goal with all of these other platforms is to drive traffic back to our website where people can learn about the services that we offer and hopefully convert. So starts with our website. Then we're going to use social media to drive visibility with the right target audience, to build our brand, to build our following, and share information that, again, drives traffic back to the website. Search engine optimization, which we're really going to focus on today, is all about driving traffic to your website. It's about ranking for what you do or the problems that you can help solve. And Prudence will get into that. We can look at pay-per-click, which I think is a very underused area for staffing companies when it comes to lead generation. Historically, we have spent hundreds of thousands of dollars on job advertising, but we don't do the same on the lead gen side. Okay, it's a fraction of that spend. I think there's a huge opportunity for staffing companies to be really visible using PPC and paid advertising. Email marketing, I get the question all the time, does email marketing even still work? Well, most digital marketers rate email marketing as still the most cost-effective strategy to reach your audience and drive conversions. Oftentimes, it's credited with having the highest ROI. So yes, it's still a great component of your digital marketing mix. And marketing automation. When you look at re-engagement platforms, marketing automation, again, very underused in the staffing industry and provide a ton of potential. So today, we're going to talk a little bit about each of these areas, but I really want to key in on SEO and pay-per-click, because I think these are two underused areas and two areas where you can drive a lot of immediate impact on the sales side. So Prudence, if you don't mind, talk to us a little bit about SEO, what it is, why you need it, and what it's about.
Sure. So SEO, it's important to understand, is that it's the process of driving targeted traffic to your website from people who do not know your business, but they are looking for your services. So they've never heard of Brad Smith Staffing Company, but they do know that they need to fill jobs in a specific niche. So they search for staffing company in Buffalo or accounting staffing company in Buffalo, and Brad Staffing Company should show up. We're not so much going after the people who already know you. We want to find people who don't know you, but need what you do. You need SEO because Google's gotten incredibly smart over the last 15 years, but it's still not that smart. It's not psychic. You have to tell Google what your website is about so that it can generate your website and its answers. I'm the one that talks with my hands, by the way. So you have to give it cues so that it understands what you do, so that it knows how to rank you. And it's also really important to note that SEO does not mean ranking number one for one term. It's really easy to get what I lovingly refer to as keyword fever, where you can get obsessed with ranking number one for one single term. That's not really good SEO. Good SEO comes from ranking well for a variety of different terms that cover everything you do.
Yeah, and Prudence, I would say too that I think some people get lulled into this false sense of confidence when they search for their own company and they come up in search results for a very unique term that not that many people use. But I know when you're doing keyword research, you're not just looking at one single term, you're looking at a collective group of terms and what's going to have the most potential to drive the highest volume of traffic.
Correct. And this is also going to be way more important as Google continues to move into AI search. If you've spread yourself not wide enough, if you've not cast a wide enough net, if you've not done some of the things we're going to talk about today, then you will get left in the dust. So we will talk about that a little bit today as well. SEO is still the number one driver of website traffic across the board. So 53% of all website traffic to every website on the entire internet comes from organic search. Organic search are the results that show up below the ads. Stephanie works at the top part. I work underneath Stephanie. And then 92% of global traffic comes from Google itself, Google Images, Google Maps, Google products. Bing is starting to inch up a little bit, but Google's still the one we all have to pay the most attention to. And SEO actually drives 1,000% more traffic than organic social media. But remember, this is across the board. This is every industry, everything. So we want to think about what all this means. How do search engines work to find results? So every single minute of every single day, they're sending out crawlers or bots onto the internet, and they're reading websites, trying to understand what they're about. And then they take each page, if it's a good page, and they index it. It means they list it in their database. Then when someone sits down and types something into the search engine, the search engine goes back into that database, sees where things shook out for your website, and decides whether or not you should show up for that search. So that's why we talked about it's really important that we're feeding Google the right types of cues to ensure that it understands what your website is about so that it can rank you properly. How does this all work with lead generation? SEO works really importantly for lead generation. Successful practices will drive organic traffic to your website. People that don't know you, but they know your services, casting a wide net. If we fill the top of that funnel, the bottom of the funnel should shake out if we're doing everything else correctly. Now, we can do SEO at each step of the funnel, but mostly we want to think today, big picture in terms of visibility. You need to be in front of people in order for them to even think about clicking on your website. Good SEO enables you to stand out among your competitors. You all have competitors. You all have competitors that are a giant thorn in your side. So we often spend a lot of time looking at who your competitors are, what they're doing well, what they're doing not so well, and then we can help close the gaps for you and come out ahead of them in search results. And good SEO is an ongoing process. It's not an event. So if your website is optimized well, if you're doing all the right things, you're going to consistently get qualified leads, qualified traffic, people who need the precise services that you are offering. So then how does that work for your sales goals? SEO and lead generation work together because the more often you show up on the first page of search results, the more potential customers can find you and interact with your business. So you want to target keywords and queries that are important to potential customers, not necessarily important to you. We have people who sometimes want to rank for internal jargon that they might use. They might have a fancy term that they call their associates. They don't want to use the word temp. Fully understand why you don't want to use the word temp. Temp has a negative connotation. Unfortunately, potential customers are still looking for temps. So there's kind of a balance that you have to strike. When we think in terms of rank, we want to focus on what people are searching for, not necessarily what we internally think is important. You also want to, this is a hard one, localize. everyone wants to spread out. Everyone wants to think, that they might have one customer in Montana and then all 900 other customers are in Oklahoma. You're not national. We can get you there. We can do all kinds of things to help you enter new markets. But when it comes to getting started, where do you do the most of your business? Where's 90% of your business coming from? Localize and focus on that. Why? We've all done a Google search. Google kicks back local results first. It wants to provide the most relevant results. Those are typically local. So you really do need to think locally, especially when you're getting started. You can spread out later. You want to publish content that answers questions that your audience has. This builds trust. This builds authority. If you're providing useful content that answers questions, you are going to be well prepared for any sling or arrow that Google sends your way in terms of updates, ranking factors, quality content that matches a problem someone is having, that solves a problem someone is having, will always rank well. This will also position you well for AI search. So you want to just, I think the crux of it is you always want to think in terms of the way a customer would think. And you also, this is important, want to make it easy for leads to take an action. We can drive all the traffic to your website in the world, but if someone gets there and they can't figure out how to contact you, how to fill out an application, how to request associates, it doesn't amount to a hill of beans. So be always aware that you want people to be able to take an action from wherever it is they land on your site.
Prudence, great information there. Thank you for sharing. I also want to drive home the point again that it's not about ranking for one specific keyword term. So most companies that come to us that are looking for help with SEO are so focused on a word like staffing or procurement or workforce management. It's not just about those terms. Yeah, we want to rank well for a staffing agency in a specific market or a temp agency in a specific market. But get beyond that. People go to Google, they go to search engines to find answers to questions. So you are an authority in everything hiring, recruiting, workforce management. So maybe somebody is looking for the best ways to ask for a raise. That might be a precursor to them looking for a job. So create content around that. Dealing with turnover. Okay, that's a precursor to having to hire. Let's get in front of them, help them solve a problem, set ourselves up for success, and get in front of them before they even realize or know that they need a staffing company. Let's think about all those leading indicators that tie to hiring, that tie to recruiting. Let's rank well for all of those different terms, and we can do that with a good SEO and a good content strategy. So Prudence, thank you again. Stephanie, I'm going to pass it over to you. Let's talk about pay-per-click a little bit. I mentioned at the beginning that I think pay-per-click is a huge opportunity in the staffing and recruiting industry because I don't think many people are using it well outside of the job board. So tell us a little bit about PPC.
Yeah, so to put it simply, defining PPC is you're paying every time someone clicks on your ad. It's a different type of advertising format where you are forcing the placement of your brand in front of somebody with the help of a budget. So consider it like a faster way to get your brand seen rather than waiting for the engines to put your placement higher or for waiting your social following to grow enough where people are seeing your post. And with paid ads, you have a range of options on where you can spend that budget. It's not just Google. You have the social channels like LinkedIn or Facebook where, people are actively engaging with online and you're, again, forcing that position of your brand and services in front of them. It's deciding where to put that budget, depends on your marketing goals, who you want to engage with, what type of channels they live in most often. And honestly, we can have an entire presentation just on that alone. But focusing in on these 3 simple reasons here why PPC is important is a good place to start. Really, to simplify the importance of PPC, we categorize it into 3 different options here. You're targeting the right audience, delivering the right message to them, and targeting them at the right time. And all of this comes into play where you are accelerating the placement of that message, of your service offerings, and showcasing what you have to offer. And paid ads nurtures them throughout the buying cycle and re-engages with touch points to really encourage people to take action and to reach out to you. So looking at the right audience there, identifying who your target audience is, who you need to sell to, and making them known of your business offerings. PPC really is something special because we can segment an audience into two different people. People that don't know about you, new audience members, new prospects that don't know you exist, that don't know about your service offerings, and then prospects that already know about you. And each of these types of audiences are essential in your paid advertising strategy, and they're going to have their own messaging and ad network essentially, which brings us into the next point there of the right messaging. This value point, it's based on, again, who you're targeting and creating that special message that's going to resonate with them. Are they a new remarketed audience member? That message will shift based on how much they know about you already. Are you promoting healthcare staffing or light industrial staffing? Or are you targeting and wanting to promote a very specific type of staffing that really, we want to promote and grow your business more for? So once you define all that, you're going to then decide what type of advertising format am I going to have? On Google, social, it's going to be different. And that's where you're going to need to customize your overall messaging approach based on if it's going to be just including text or images in your ad as well. And what's the end action? What's that CTA or call to action? Are you driving website traffic? Or on social media, for instance, we have options to connect with them and keep people on social media where they're completing a contact form or downloading some sort of content. So there's a lot of different action points here where it builds variety into your digital marketing strategy that, again, targets the right audience with the right message, but also at that right time. And Prudence mentioned a few slides back of the importance or the impact that Google has on your website traffic. You get a lot of traffic from Google. And PPC really is no different because your brand, your ads need to be where your audience lives online. So if it's Google, optimize for organic rankings, but put some paid spend behind your keywords. Get your position higher in the search engines. Boost your visibility locally in your market with Google Maps. There's ways to really increase your visibility on that channel. Build awareness and showcase your expertise on YouTube or social media. Again, it's about where your audience lives and being there, or else your competitors will take your place. And the last tactic I want to run through is something that we run on our own in terms of engaging with this type of audience or that B2B approach. You need to control your budget on the day of the week and the time of the day that is where the conversion potential is the highest. So save your budget and engage with people at the moment that they are really active in their need.
Stephanie, I'm going to put you on the spot here because I want to know this presentation is all about driving sales and driving business. What is your favorite type of PPC ad or campaign to help drive visibility in a market or drive inbound?
So Google. Really, that's the easiest point there, just because obviously the popularity, but it's about user intent. Mm-hmm. And yes, LinkedIn would be a very close second because of the type of audiences that live on that channel. But people go to Google, they go to the search engines as they're actively searching for their needs. And so you're going to target certain keywords that people are searching for in terms of, staffing service, staffing solutions, workforce management solutions. So you are, again, putting that budget behind certain keywords that indicate that they have a higher intent to convert or just research their needs or, be somewhere and work through that buying funnel, essentially.
I like that. So look at buying intent. And what I also like is SEO and PPC can really work together in your digital marketing system. So ideally, we want to not have to pay for any of that traffic. We want to rank well organically for everything that we do and everything under the sun that's related to staffing and recruiting. That's not reality. So what you can do is see where your SEO strategy is working really well and driving that organic traffic, and then supplement those keywords, search terms, phrases that have high buyer intent. Somebody is looking for your services, but you're not yet ranking at the top of search results. That's how the two can play hand in hand together. And over time, you can begin to adjust and tweak your keyword buys versus your organic SEO. And I really like that approach. Now, a question came in that's tied to SEO. So Prudence, I'm going to pop back to you. And the question was, how are AI tools such as ChatGPT or Google's rolled out generative search, how are those impacting SEO right now?
They are not impacting SEO right now. ChatGPT is not a search engine. It is a language learning model. It's learning a lot pretty quickly, but it's also kind of stupid. If you've ever gotten a terrible answer from ChatGPT, you know what I'm talking about. What is important to do is, one, not freak out. AI is scary, and there's a lot of clickbait headlines out there that, like I said earlier, they're going to tout this is the final nail in the coffin for SEO. No, it's not. Google's generative AI search is going to change the way Google serves up search results. But if you are focused on creating relevant content that answers questions that people would type in either to a search engine or to an AI, and if your site is trustworthy, authoritative, provides a good user experience, you're not going to have to worry about anything. It's really, I think, a shift in relevancy. We've been trying to push this for years, but if you haven't been on the relevancy boat, you're probably going to get left behind at this point. So just be there for your audience, provide them with good information, provide them with answers, and everything will be copacetic.
Awesome. Thank you. I'm going to wrap up by talking about the digital marketing system and what we really want to see out of a marketing program on the digital side to drive visibility. And as I started the presentation off, I talked about your website, and your website is really the core. We need to make sure that our website is optimized for conversion. CRO stands for conversion rate optimization. We want to make sure that when people land on our website, it's easy for them to get to where they need to go. And we have a very defined action we want them to take. We either want them to apply, or we want them to reach out with a job order. Okay, let's make it simple and easy. We want to make sure that we have landing pages. If you're doing any type of PPC campaign, let's take them over to a very specific landing page. Let's make sure that that landing page is integrated with the ad so that there's no confusion when somebody clicks on an ad and pops over to your landing page. Let's make sure that there's a singular action on that landing page we want them to take. Is it a form fill? Is it to pick up the phone and call? Is it to submit an application or submit a job order? Make it simple. We need to make sure that our website is obviously optimized for search engines, but also optimized for the user. We want to make sure that it's clean, it's simple, looks good on desktop, looks good on mobile. Make sure that it's current, and make sure that it's integrated with your ATS or your CRM. After all, this is all about driving sales leads. So we need to make sure that our website is optimized to do that. At the core of all of our digital marketing strategy is our website, but our website is nothing more than a brochure if we don't add content. We need to make sure that we're adding content in the form of blogs, articles, those Q&As that Prudence mentioned. When somebody has a problem, they're looking for a solution. Be the solution. Offer white papers, videos, podcasts, multimedia can help a ton in SEO. And with SEO, obviously, we need our keyword focus. We need those questions and those answers that Prudence referenced. When we look at AI, I agree with Prudence that ChatGPT isn't a search engine. Google's iterative search is now presenting some information right within search results. But they've been doing this for years through rich snippets. It's just a different format. But to her point, it all ties back to that content. We need to be the trusted resource tied to what you do and the value that you offer. You can do that through content, and that'll help with your search rank. Then we need to make sure that we leverage SEO. We need to make sure that, social media. We need to make sure that we're building our networks, and all that great content that we're producing on our website gets shared on social and drives traffic back to our website where they can take action. Don't just keep people on social, drive them back where they can take action. Email marketing, I mentioned, is a huge opportunity for us to reach the masses or reach a very segmented, specific part of your ATS or your CRM. Your email that is focused on the audience is going to be more effective than just a general message. But don't neglect email as a great way to drive traffic. And last is looking at referrals. So who else out there already has the ear of your buyers or the people that you're looking to recruit? If we can get them to share our content, if we can add value to them and they repurpose our content, that's going to get us in front of a whole new audience. You think about all the amazing speakers on today's set of webinars. These are all referral sources. These are all great people that are adding value in the industry, and we're getting in front of their stage. They're getting in front of our stage. As a staffing owner, think about who your referrals are. Now, when you look at a digital marketing system, most staffing companies are stopping right here. And if you do this, that's great. You're going to have an amazing foundation. But I want to add two quick things that I think every single staffing company should be doing that aren't right now. And Stephanie alluded to one earlier, and we talked a little bit about the other. And those are PPC retargeting or remarketing and marketing automation. We spend hundreds of thousands of dollars driving traffic and visibility to our website. Staffing isn't a one-call close. We need to stay in front of these people consistently. Okay, we need our brand, our message in front of them when somebody walks off the job site or their current provider screws up. Okay, if you're not doing PPC retargeting, so people visit your site, cookie begins to follow them, and your ads and your brand follow them around the internet, add it to your to-do list. Okay, that is one of the most effective PPC campaigns we see. And then marketing automation. We need to stay in front of the right audience with the right message and target them specifically. My favorite marketing automations are client and candidate reactivations. So look at the ones that you haven't done business with in a while, reach out to them through marketing automation. And when we do that, we see 2 times the conversion rate. So I'll open it up now to questions. We answered a few during the presentation, but David, any additional questions that popped up?
There are a lot, but you used all your time.
Oh, man.
So I'm going to ask you guys to go to the Q&A, and please type in some responses. There's some really good questions in there. There's a couple in the chat as well that we may have missed. Just for anybody, somebody put their hand up. So if you please use the chat, use the Q&A as you're seeing. We're trying to answer some of the things live as we go, but we're also trying to stick with our schedule for the day. So if we run out of time, the presenters will stay on and continue to answer Q&A. Prudence, I do want to build on one. You talked about the SEO and how ChatGPT is going to interact with it. I was looking at a company, and they're kind of just right now doing some testing. And their thesis is that as the language models get better, they're more likely to start to supplant the search engines, because Google's next one is supposed to have the side-by-side searching. Maybe they're already. And at some point, people are going to they may like the answer from the large language model search versus the Google search. So if I'm looking for a store, I probably want the regular Google search. If I'm looking for an answer to a question, I might like the LLM to find all the sites and write out an answer for me. And what this company was doing, I thought was pretty cool, is they're trying to play both games. You mentioned producing relevant content, and that's the key. And they totally agreed with that. But what they said is they're trying to, and they're produce volumes of content that is not only relevant to the questions, but is branded, so that they're working their name into the responses. So as the LLM picks up some of their content to use it in what it writes, it's actually mentioning their company by name. And they're having some success getting their name into responses from ChatGPT, which is, they started testing it about 6 weeks ago. Pretty cool. I mean, really cutting edge stuff. I don't know how you could control it. You don't have the kind of data and research that you have when you're doing SEO. And I totally agree with what you said is right now, for everybody listening in today, that's the science fiction of where this could go, not the reality of how you're going to get sales in 2023 and 2024. Any thoughts on that?
No, I would keep an eye on it, though, because a lot of times, and we even saw this back in the early days of SEO, you would get a lot of branded results for generic questions, and then people kind of revolted against that. So we strike a balance even with our content. We'll keep the SEO content very much unbranded until the end. CTA, wrap it all back to what your company does really well and how it fits into the above. So I assume you'll be sending me a link later today so I can look at this.
I'll be happy to share what I can.
Yeah, that would be really cool. I would be concerned that it wouldn't be something that would have a ton of longevity.
Yeah, you may be exactly right.
Yeah.
You also mentioned something really important, and Eric will be with you in a second, but the CTA at the end, because a lot of things you're doing with paid advertising or you're doing with SEO is you're getting someone to your website, but that's not getting them to place a job order. So you got to think about what's the next step that fits the intent of the person reading the content. So I'll leave that to you. I can't go any more there because we got to transition, but there's some really good questions. Steph, for you in particular, there's some really good questions about PPC and landing pages. So guys, watch the Q&A. These guys will be happy to answer. If you have more questions, throw them in. These guys are amazing in terms of their knowledge in all areas of digital marketing. So thank you very much.
Thank you all.